Pep Guardiola, the ball genius, the tactical mastermind, the man who revolutionized football with his beautiful passing game. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Pep has only ever managed teams with unlimited budgets and world-class players. Barcelona had Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta. Bayern Munich dominated the Bundesliga anyway. And Manchester City, they've spent over £1 billion since he arrived. When Pep took over Barcelona, he inherited a squad that had just won the Champions League. Messi was already there. The academy had produced Xavi and Iniesta. All Pep did was tell them to pass the ball more. Don't get me wrong, his tactics are brilliant, but it's easy to look like a genius when you have the best players in the world. Put Pep at Burnley with a £20 million budget and see how his tiki-taka works then. The man has never faced a real challenge, never had to work with limited resources, never had to prove he can build something from nothing. Yet everyone acts like he's the greatest manager of all time, Jose Mourinho. The special one, the master of mind games, the man who parks the bus and somehow makes it look tactical. Mourinho built his reputation on winning the Champions League with Porto in 2004. Fair enough, that was impressive. But what has he done since then that's actually special? At Chelsea, he had Roman Abramovich's money. At Inter Milan, he inherited a team that was already dominating Serie A. At Real Madrid, he spent €400 million and still couldn't beat Pep's Barcelona consistently. And let's talk about his football. It's boring, defensive, negative. He turns every match into a chess game where nobody wants to make the first move. Fans pay good money to watch football, not to see 11 players standing behind the ball for 90 minutes. His man management is terrible too. He falls out with players constantly. Pogba, Lukaku, Shaw, Casillas, Ramos. The list goes on. If you can't handle modern players, maybe the game has moved past you. But somehow people still call him a tactical genius. Really, playing with 10 men behind the ball isn't genius, it's just scared. Arsene Wenger, the professor. The man who brought beautiful football to England. The inventor of the Invincibles. Wenger did great things at Arsenal, nobody can deny that. The Invincible season was incredible. But let's be honest about his last decade at the club. From 2006 to 2018, Arsenal won 3 FA Cups. That's it, 3 domestic cups in 12 years. Meanwhile, he kept insisting that 4th place was like a trophy. 4th place isn't a trophy, Arsene. It's just barely qualifying for the Champions League. His transfer policy was a joke. He refused to spend money on proven players, instead buying unknown teenagers from France for £2 million. Then he'd act surprised when they weren't ready for the Premier League. Remember when he said he almost signed every world-class player? Almost signed Messi. Almost signed Ronaldo. Almost signed Zlatan. Almost doesn't win you trophies, Arsene. And his tactical stubbornness was infuriating. The same 4-2-3-1 formation every game. The same passing patterns. The same predictable substitutions. Teams figured him out years before he retired. Yet people still talk about him like he's some kind of football philosopher. Philosophy doesn't win you the Premier League. Jurgen Klopp. The heavy metal football manager. The man with the perfect teeth and the passionate celebrations. Klopp's a good manager, don't get me wrong. But the way people worship him is ridiculous. He's turned into some kind of cult figure, where everything he does is brilliant. His Liverpool team won 1 Premier League title in 6 years. 1. Manchester City won 4 in the same period. But somehow Klopp is the better manager because his team plays with more passion. And let's talk about his excuses. The wind was too strong. The grass was too long. The other team celebrated too much. There's always something. A truly great manager doesn't make excuses. He finds solutions. His tactics aren't that revolutionary either. High pressing and quick transitions. Teams have been doing that for decades. He just gave it a fancy name and everyone acted like he invented football. Plus, his teams always burn out. Dortmund collapsed in his final season. Liverpool looked exhausted after their title win. Maybe running around like headless chickens for 90 minutes isn't sustainable after all. But mention any of this to Liverpool fans and they'll act like you've insulted their religion. It's Klopp, not the Pope. Carlo Ancelotti, the calm one, the eyebrow master, the man who's won the Champions League more times than most people have had hot dinners. Ancelotti has won trophies everywhere he's gone. Real Madrid, AC Milan, Chelsea, Bayern Munich. But here's the thing, he's always inherited great teams. At AC Milan he had Kaká, Pirlo, Maldini and Shevchenko. At Chelsea he had Lampard, Terry and Drogba. At Real Madrid he has Benzema, Modric and Kroos. Notice a pattern. His tactical knowledge is supposedly incredible, but what exactly is his style? Nobody knows. He just puts good players on the pitch and hopes they figure it out. That's not tactics, that's FIFA Ultimate Team. And his man management? Overrated. Players like him because he doesn't make them work too hard. He's like the cool teacher who lets you watch movies instead of doing actual lessons. Sure, he's won 5 Champions League titles, but when you manage the best teams in the world for 20 years, you should win a few trophies. It would be embarrassing if you didn't. Yet people act like he's some kind of tactical genius. Really? Where's the genius in telling Benzema to score goals? Antonio Conte. The passionate Italian. The man who screams at his players like they've stolen his lunch money. Conte won the Premier League with Chelsea in his first season. Impressive, right? Except he inherited a squad that had won the title just 2 years earlier. All he did was change the formation to 3-4-3, and suddenly he's a tactical revolutionary. His football is effective but boring. 3 centre-backs, wing-backs who run up and down all game, and 2 strikers who barely touch the ball. It's like watching paint dry, except paint drying is more entertaining. And his man management is terrible. He falls out with players constantly. At Chelsea he had problems with Costa, Luiz and half the squad. At Inter Milan he complained about everything. At Tottenham he gave up after 6 months. His teams always start well, then collapse. Chelsea finished 5th in his second season. Inter Milan were knocked out of the Champions League by Real Madrid's reserves. Tottenham, well, they're still Tottenham. But people still praise his intensity and passion. Shouting at players isn't passion, it's just being loud. And intensity doesn't win you trophies if your tactics are predictable. Zinedine Zidane, the bald magician, the man who won 3 Champions League titles in a row with Real Madrid. Zidane's achievements as a manager look incredible on paper. 3 consecutive Champions League titles is something no other manager has done in the modern era. But let's look at the context. He inherited a Real Madrid squad worth over 500 million euros. Ronaldo, Bale, Benzema, Modric, Kroos, Ramos. These players were already world-class before he arrived. All he had to do was not mess it up. His tactical knowledge is questionable. What's his playing style? Cross the ball to Ronaldo and hope for the best. That's not tactics, that's just having the best player in the world. And when Ronaldo left, what happened? Real Madrid struggled. They couldn't score goals. They looked lost. If Zidane was such a tactical genius, why couldn't he adapt without his star player? His man management gets praised, but it's easy to manage players when you're winning everything. Try managing a struggling team and see how much the players respect you then. Plus, he quit twice when things got difficult. Great managers don't run away when the going gets tough. They stay and fight, but somehow people still think he's one of the greatest managers ever. 3 good years doesn't make you a legend. The truth is, most of these legendary managers have never faced real challenges. They've managed the biggest clubs with the biggest budgets and the best players. It's like playing FIFA on easy mode and claiming you're a gaming genius. Real tactical brilliance comes from getting the most out of limited resources. Managers like Sean Dyche keeping Burnley in the Premier League for years, or Eddie Howe taking Bournemouth from League 2 to the Premier League. But those managers don't get the credit they deserve because they don't have fancy names or expensive suits. They just do their job quietly and effectively. Meanwhile, the overrated managers get all the praise for doing what any competent coach could do with unlimited resources. It's time we stopped worshipping these false idols and recognise real managerial talent. The next time someone tells you Pep Guardiola is a genius, ask them how he'd do at Watford. Which overrated manager do you think gets the most undeserved praise? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed learning about these overrated football managers, hit subscribe for more Football Explainer videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.